Taoiseach, the biggest obstacle to the well-being of hundreds of thousands of our citizens is the lack of secure and affordable accommodation, or now for 10,325 people, including more than 3,000 children, the lack of any accommodation whatsoever, who are now in record numbers, never ever seen before, in emergency accommodation, or worse, as I pointed out to you earlier, where the local authorities, for the first time in my experience, cannot even offer emergency accommodation to families with children. Now, this is shameful, and it makes a mockery, to be honest, of talking about well-being. It really does. 2.5 years into this government, it has never been so bad. I am overrun. I'm not exaggerating, you Taoiseach. I am overrun in the last few weeks with families with children with nowhere to go.
Time is up.
Now, if you are serious about looking at well-being and not just economic figures, why can we not have the promised review of Housing for All, which we are supposed to have, and why can we not have the promised review of the income eligibility thresholds, which are denying thousands any housing support at all?
Housing doesn't come across in terms of, and there's a reason, and if you read the dashboard, it goes through the issues in relation to housing, because the indicators say that Ireland comes out relatively well in terms of trend over time and international comparisons, but that has to be put in context in terms of data availability and demand. So that's far more nuanced. So in other words, new dwelling completions have been increasing consistently over the last 7 years, and they will increase more substantially again, but we need to be closer to, however, to 33,000 a year. One of the big issues in housing that people have referenced, the current situation in emergency accommodation, is the number of international asylum seekers has really gone way up beyond predictions in the last number of months. This is separate altogether now from the Ukrainian situation, and it is putting a strain on emergency accommodation that was not anticipated. If you look at the report of Catherine Day in respect of the direct provision and that, I think the estimate was around 3,500. We're well and will be well beyond that now. Could go to 9,000–12,000 before the end of the year, and that is creating its own pressures as well on. And then within the European Union, there are pressures. You can nod all you like, Deputy. You can there's other issues, and there are other pressures also, and we do need to deal with other issues then in terms of fast tracking and getting accommodation in place.
We need to move on
in any way we
question
possibly
9.
can.
I'm sorry. We're out of time. Question 9, please.